Welcome back. I'm Codie Sanchez, and this is the Big Deal podcast for those who don't just want to be rich, but want to be free and do what it actually takes to get there. Okay, so today we're diving into the rise of counterculture and how movements like this are becoming mainstream in many ways. From homesteading to homeschooling to home remedies, more people are choosing to live life on their own terms, stepping away from the conventional paths. Kimberly Vanderbeek joins us on this episode to talk about all of this. So if you're curious about motherhood done unconventionally, modern dating and how to attract that person to you that is supposed to be with you, and how to both homeschool kids if you want to or homestead them, I think you'll like this episode. So I'm kind of in love with Kim. I've gotten to be friends with her through a couple friends locally. And I'm so curious lately about how do I be a feminine woman and also crush it in the workplace? Now, you might know Kim as the wife of Dawson's Creek star James Vanderbeek. She has 6 kids. I don't know how she does that. And then she also has really unique ideas into clean wellness, into living on sort of a compound with 16 cabins. In 2020, her family made the move from LA to a place about an hour outside of Austin. Now, Kimberly is all about sort of community. And what does it mean in this society today where we have totally gotten away from that? And how could, if you feel lonely today, how could you bring it back? And I think that is exactly why I want to remind you guys that this podcast is all about community. It's the idea that we bring the unvarnished truth about business ownership by the many instead of the few together. So if you guys have ever thought about how to become part of a business community, you should check out Contrarian Thinking Community. I do think that one of the chronic illnesses of our society today is we are lonely, we are isolated, and thus we feel weak and we feel powerless. And when we realize that all around us are other humans who want the exact same things we do, the world changes, or as Kimberly says, it shifts. So today we're going to lean into a story that is maybe a little bit more normal here in Austin, but not around the world. I want to jump right in with something that I was fascinated by, which was the conception cabin on your land. Can you talk about that? What is it? What does it do?
Okay. There's this great book called Spirit Babies by Walter Mackey Chen.
Cool.
And it talks about the different portals that are all over the world about where spirit babies come through and go from the spirit baby realm into conception. And I believe one of those portals is on our land.
Cool.
So it's cabin 16. And we've had 2 different friends conceive in this cabin.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And are there 16 other cabins on the land?
There are 21.
Wow.
But some of the walls have come out and we've turned them into different things like offices or movie theater area.
Love that. And so the idea is essentially, I want to read Spirit Babies. I've kind of gotten into what I'll now call woo-woo stuff lately.
Oh, fabulous.
I know. I'm going down
reality.
I'm literally going down such a rabbit hole. And that's why I was attracted to talking to you, because it felt like all the things we were told for so long about, I'll just say the female body. I mean, I won't even get into the broader medical establishment, are sort of incomplete at best.
Yeah.
And, when we're trying to figure out how to get pregnant, I look all around and all my women friends have struggled to make it happen. They've gone through round after round of IVF.
Yeah.
And now there's sort of this coming back to ourselves and our own knowing that I'm starting to see.
Yeah.
And so I sort of want to dive into this a little bit with you.
Yeah.
Because you have 6 kids, right? And are all of those kids, you had them all naturally?
I had define natural.
Yeah.
So my first was born in a hospital.
Yeah.
After an epidural and Pitocin.
Uh-huh.
And my other 5 were born at home.
God, that's wild.
Yeah.
By yourself with a midwife? How does that work?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. So I had midwives, a doula and a couple. I had midwife and doctor sometimes, and sometimes my doctor missed.
Yeah. What's the difference between a doula and a midwife?
So there's a big difference, actually. A midwife helps the mother in the delivery process with the baby. She'll observe, she'll see if something needs to happen medically, perhaps, and she's trained in that way. A doula is there to support the mother and to make sure the mother has everything that she needs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is there like training for the two? And how do you decide who's a good or a bad midwife or doula?
Okay. Well, there's lots of training for a midwife and for a doula, and it looks very different. So there is no governing body for a doula, actually. So there are lots of what feel very official doula training programs, but there's not a governing body over it. So to get a proper certificate, somebody came up with this, and there you go.
Yeah.
And a midwife is different. I mean, they need to have medical background knowledge and expertise and lots of training with births. And I think some doulas do that as well. I know a lot of doulas that could probably help birth, but they don't have that certification in place. So,
100%.
yeah. And how do you know if you have the right midwife or doula? Well, for me, my process was, for my first birth, I really wanted to have a home birth, and I was talked out of it. Yeah, and so
But that was when?
that
what
was,
year would that have been?
I mean, that was in 2010 she was born.
Which was kind of before this was as, and I wouldn't even say it's mainstream yet.
Yes, that's correct.
But back then, if you were like, I'm going to home birth, with a doula or a midwife, and especially you were in LA at the time, weren't you?
Yes.
They probably told you were crazy.
Everybody told me I was crazy, and to some degree I listened to them.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to, but I did. And so my process was interviewing doctors. And I found one that I felt, when I'm interviewing a doctor, I want somebody that is going to honor my intuitive knowing and give me space and has listened to my birth requests. And we call them requests. Because a birth has its own life. You don't really know what's going to happen, right? So when you are in co-creation with another soul, you're also tending to their energetic field, and maybe they want to be born via a cesarean, and that's the right way for them, or whatever it is. So I call it a birth request because a mom will know what she wants. Here's my prayer, here's my request, and then life takes its course. But for a doctor, that's what I was looking at, somebody that would honor me.
Yep.
For my second pregnancy, Joshua, I found out he was breech at 37 weeks. And my mom delivered my sister breech, and I never looked at it as a negative thing. But
Which basically means the baby's like laying like this?
So there are 3 different breech positions, and
Okay.
the one that he was in is a complete breech. So he's like curled up like this, and he's booty down.
Oh, yeah, that's not
Yeah.
good. Okay.
So the head is up here.
Okay.
But I never looked at it as an emergency. I think it's about 4% of babies are in breech position towards the last trimester,
Okay.
the end of the last trimester. And so for me, I was told basically turn the baby or this is going to be a cesarean. And that didn't sit right with me. Now, if it did sit right with me and I felt like this is the right move for us, I would have done it. But there was this deeper intuitive feeling to investigate. And when I investigated further, and I think this is the first thing you do with a parent. As a parent, you get your information and you weave in your intuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no book on your intuitive knowing, but I started to do a deep dive. And what I discovered were there were some outdated studies on breech births that took into account third world countries without a head down counterpart. So the studies were heavily flawed. And at that time, they stopped training doctors how to do breech births.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a simple maneuvers that can actually really help safely deliver a breech baby, but the doctors are no longer trained in those maneuvers. So now we do have indeed a dangerous situation unless you have a doctor that's trained. So I actually magnetized Dr. Stuart Fishbein, who had delivered hundreds of breech births, got himself out of the medical system and was doing them at home.
Wow.
Because he was bumping up against a lot.
Why don't they train them on that anymore? Is it because cesarean sections are really expensive and
well, you could go down
follow the money rabbit hole
of following the money for sure. However, I guess when you're 37 weeks pregnant, you don't have the time for that rabbit hole. It's just,
Yeah.
I need to take care of myself and my baby. And so this is what felt right for me. And I had Dr. Fishbein, and I had Beth Cannon, who is a midwife that works for him. So I had that team and my doula. So we had a solid team. It was a super deep privilege actually to have this team, because most people actually don't have access to a doctor like this at all, and a midwife team. So I feel so deeply grateful for that. And then with my next baby, I said, you know what? This team was a reactive response for me, and it was a great privilege to have them, but I actually need to choose my team now, right? And so I was like, I need to make sure that this is a choice, because I felt like I didn't have one last time. And so I met people, even though I loved my birth team, and I said, I love my birth team. I still love my birth team, and now I'm choosing them. So I went with the same team the next time.
Interesting.
But for me, that choice really happened with watching people's responses with what I wanted to do and see how much that was honored.
Interesting. Yeah, you know, it's interesting to me that today when a woman says, I feel an intuition about my body this way, when we say, no, I can just tell that something's off here or something's right, that people think that sounds bizarre. And they're like, no, go get 37 ultrasounds, go get 452 tests instead. And, don't, to your point, maybe honor that as much. What does that mean to be like medically intuitive and to follow your own intuition? Because, my grandmother used to say, which I think is true, that a great way to fail in the medical, if anything's going wrong in your body, is like doctors are trained to do one thing really well, which is like eventually kill you. And that was like her little tongue-in-cheek joke about the fact that, everything leads to more surgeries, more prescriptions, et cetera.
Yeah.
So how do you actually find your intuition?
Well, just like I wouldn't lump all doctors into the same category. I actually have doctors in my life that are incredibly passionate about what they do, and they're willing to go on a limb for their passion. But if we take it back to the medical establishment, we can go down another money rabbit hole. So the pharmaceutical companies pay for those universities. So I know some nurses who they learned their food pyramid that was developed by Nestle, and that was funding their nurse program, right? And even when it comes to food, we hear the good old ask your doctor if you should take this herb or this food. But that is a medical legal slogan, essentially, at this point, which also I need to say, I'm not a doctor, guys.
Yeah.
So take my advice, listen to it, and go talk to your doctor, because legally you have to say that. But are doctors trained in nutrition? Most of them are not. Last I checked, it was about 10% of medical schools. Even if, ask your doctor about a vaccination. I talked to a lot of doctors. What I heard from them was that was about a half a day in medical school. So if you take like a mom following her intuitive guidance and, unraveling and actually sitting there and going through the peer-reviewed studies and the research and all of that, you may have somebody that's actually far more educated than a lot of the doctors. But again, you'll have these amazing, passionate doctors that love what they do. And those doctors, I have been so fortunate to know in my life, and they're incredible. So it really takes both, because intuition breeds curiosity and passion. And if you're following that thread, you are going to get really informed.
Kind of a bizarre question, but your first baby, you had some sort of numbing agent.
Yes.
The next 5 you didn't, right?
Yes.
Does that hurt like hell? You went back for 5 more times?
So the first one I pushed for almost 2 hours. I was rocking, and I got to the hospital and I wasn't even a centimeter dilated. And I said, that is because you guys made me sign paperwork when I got here. And my fight or flight, I shut down. And so eventually my doula had everybody leave the room. And with 1 hour, I was dilated to 9 with pushing contractions.
Wow.
And so, I was able to like pick really back up where I left off. And so for me, some people find a deep comfort and security in being in the hospital. I've been asked before, like, are you an advocate of home births? And I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Where is the woman most comfortable? For me, it was not the hospital, and it shut down my labor process.
That's a great, I mean, like everything in life, it's like, I'm not telling you how to live yours. Don't tell me how to live mine. I'm just telling you my experience.
Yes. And then now I'm having, then I do get the epidural. I do get Pitocin. She's sort of crooked in there. And they're telling me to push and that I'm having contractions, and I couldn't feel them. Wow. So I actually was quite detached. And then when they gave her to me, I just had to throw up right away. I'm so sensitive to medication. So she immediately had to go to my husband. There wasn't that moment. And that's okay, like I'm so grateful for that birth experience because I get to talk to women all over the world about hospital and home births and my experience in all of the above. But I would say that I prefer to feel.
Yeah.
It's for me, it was like with my births, I got to meet myself.
Cool.
And with my daughter Olivia in the hospital, I got to meet the part of myself that is fully capable of surrendering to a divine unfolding that wasn't what I thought I was going to have. And, in that moment when she was born that I thought I was going to have, it was like a very deep surrender. And that's part of being a parent. So they've all been in a different way meeting myself, but I am okay with the pain.
Yeah.
And boy, does that come. Some people talk about these orgasmic births, and I'm like, who are you?
I hope that whole makes me chuckle a little bit too.
I feel like I kind of had one though, actually.
Really?
So my third was 30 minutes of active labor. And she came so quickly, and everybody told me I was so quiet the whole time. And then she was born. It was so peaceful. I'm just pouring warm water on her head. She was born in the water. It was so peaceful. So
interesting.
Oh, maybe that my legs slightly orgasmic birth.
That's wild. I mean, I hope I have that. I hope that for all women. So it's not are you scared? Like your second, third, fourth, and fifth time before?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's always a point in every single pregnancy that I've ever had where my stomach's out to here and I'm like, this baby has to come out of me at some point.
Yeah.
Whether it's cesarean or birth or something, there is a potentially painful process ahead.
Yeah.
And I definitely, every birth, have had that moment of panic.
Yeah. It seems totally natural.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a really good girlfriend who her first birth was a home birth.
Yeah.
And she said a line that I'd be curious your take on. She's like, I wanted to do more. She has 4 beautiful babies. And she's like, I wanted to do more at home. But she's like, I didn't think my husband could handle it again because he was so freaked out for me. It was so scary for him. And I was actually okay. But he was like, I don't think I can go through it again. Like, how did James handle it?
Oh, thank God for James. I would have thrown my husband out of the room, I think. No offense to the husband, because everybody has a different way of watching their other half process pain.
Right.
But the first one at the hospital, I was in and out of the shower, and he was having to guess what I needed. I'm like, hot, cold, hot, cold, change the water, do that. It's like you need to be psychic and understand my needs.
Yeah.
But for the home births, it was really beautiful. And for the first birth, this is a little personal, but for the first birth, I'm like, you're not down there. You're up here.
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah, you didn't want him seeing all that.
I'm like, I don't need you changing your mind about things. The second one, he was in there helping deliver.
Wow.
Yeah. My doctor's like, hey, James, come here. And
you felt comfortable with that. And he was into it.
I remember having a moment of thinking, we didn't discuss this, but it was perfect. It felt perfect. And he's so deeply honoring of me and so loving and worshiping of my body that I just feel so safe with him.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was birthing Amelia, my 5th, I wanted to have a birth where my team wasn't present. That was my request. Like you guys, but I'm not a free birther. I sort of like to know I have a team there if I need. And so they're like listening, and I call in my doula. I'm like, I'm breathing right. I'm pushing right. And she's feeling a little crooked. And like, can you just make sure I'm breathing properly? I just wanted somebody to look, and she's like, yep. And then I eventually had my whole team come in, and Amelia was all bruised on one side. She was very crooked, pushing up against a bone in there. And I felt that leading up to the pregnancy too. I was doing this walk off the ledge to sort of even out my body. But it was a pretty painful process of getting her moving through. And there was a moment where I was in such deep pain and so surrendered really to God at this point.
Yeah.
And my husband looked at me and he said, so emotional for me. He looked at me and he's like, I know this is so hard for you. Oh my God, babe, you were so sweet. He's like, I know this is so hard for you, but this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the whole world. And he is like, you're just so beautiful and you are doing it. Wow. And I was like, that gave me that little extra bit of strength to help deliver the baby. Yeah. So it's like the woman does everything, right? But if we can have more men, James just maybe should be talking about this to everybody, like learning how to really truly support their partner in this process. I know he was part of like my divine strength for that one.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. For Jeremiah, my sixth baby, I was in our bathtub, and it was one of my more difficult births as well. I'm thinking my sixth one, he's going to fly right out of me. He was over a pound bigger than my next biggest baby.
Oh, yeah. And you're little.
I'm fairly little. I got some birthing hits on me, but I am. And so I had this crystal a friend gave me that she said she held in her labor. I picked that up, and I picked up another one, and I was praying on all the sisterhood that's ever birthed a child in the entire world, or that's ever held a woman in birth that has not birthed a child, to like be with me to birth this child. And like I held those, and I had all the sisterhood of the world come in, and I had a midwife that knew, stand over there. And like, I got to go into my full thing. Nobody messed with my energy. My friend Peggy was there. She was like just sort of holding a Reiki space. And I like mustered up everything I had. But it was like, and that's how it's like, I met the surrendered part of myself with Olivia. With this birth with Jeremiah, I met that like female sisterhood warrior part of myself. So each birth has been something different for me that I think for my soul process I've needed on my journey, and we all have something else that we need. Like I recently, we talked a little bit about being a medical intuitive. I recently worked on this woman. When I say work, it's really just listening to what the body has to say, that had some deep trauma with sexual abuse. I know. And I saw her scar, and I'm like, were all your babies delivered via cesarean? She said yes. And I saw how profoundly beautiful the gift her soul gave her children. She was kind of like,
protected.
Don't go into this energy. You're coming out here. And how like I had never like, it was just this super, and there are other people that will have abuse and still birth out so beautifully. And it's a very deep healing process for everybody. But in this specific scenario, I was like, what a sacred gift.
Yeah.
Being born through cesarean births, you gave your children, because that was her soul's way of holding her children as a mother for the first time. Wow. I know. So it just, for me with birth, it's just always a beautiful unfolding, and it's one of the greatest surrenders. We can all have our plans in place, but being a parent is like the great surrender, and knowing that it's a co-creation.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on here is that I have so many girlfriends right now that are struggling to get pregnant. And I
Yeah.
think it's a nationwide, maybe a global epidemic.
It is.
And
Really?
what's wild is I have watched some of my friends go through 3, 5, 8 rounds of IVF. I have watched them struggle with charts and graphs and 400 pills a day.
Yeah.
And I'm not a doctor. I have no idea what is right to do there or what is not.
Yeah.
But then I have watched some of my friends, really oddly, a lot of them here in Austin, who like, Gabby, 40, pregnant twice beautifully, easily. And, Liz, who I think you know too, has had her little second. And I'm like, wait a second, there seems to be this other option, which is, maybe this conscious contraception. It's a little bit more woo-woo. Like, how do you see the world now from difficulty of getting pregnant? What do you think's happening, and what are you seeing with all the women that you're talking to about getting pregnant? Because you host group gatherings with women, right?
I do. Yeah, and pregnancy is a big one for me. Like, there are all sorts of divine blessings and openings and listening to the body that are present there. So what I've personally seen is, in listening to a woman's body, there are many stories to be told. A lot of times abuse, or a lot of times watching a family member struggle, or a lot of times just being out of touch with the body. And then there are a lot of people that simply have this as part of their divine unfolding process, So it's like, you really never know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like my birth with Olivia. Sometimes there is a divine surrender. Maybe you need to make peace with medicine. Maybe you need to make peace with showing up and going to appointments and just having another calling. I've never seen it be the same thing for everybody. But what I would say, if somebody is really struggling, is the first thing I would suggest is to sit with somebody and really learn if there's something that your body wants to communicate with you, because sometimes it can lift something like that and somebody gets pregnant right away.
Yeah.
But it's not always that. Sometimes, like, there wants to be this earthly surrender process.
It's a good point. And, what I found to be so helpful as I think about going through pregnancy too is just having other women around you that are open to talking about it. Yeah. This is never something I talked about. I didn't want to talk about it. Wasn't interested in it. And I thought you really didn't talk about it. It was like, sex, religion, pregnancy, I guess. And now there are these, which we should talk about.
I've had 5 miscarriages, 2 late-term near-death experiences.
Oh my God.
And I remember I first started talking about miscarriages and nobody was talking about them.
Yep.
Like, nobody was talking about them. It was a bit of a lonely place, but I didn't care. Everybody has a different grieving process, and mine was just being upfront.
Yeah, my mom actually was similar. She had 4 miscarriages.
Yeah.
And then 1 baby all the way to, fully, but that was my sister, Kristen, and she died. She was just born with a tiny little heart, like not a big enough heart. And so she only lived for a few months. And that was in between me and my brother. But, I remember the statistics on it afterwards. Like, late-term miscarriages, you have a 90% divorce rate.
90%?
90%. And if you lose a child, it's closer to 95% as a parent.
Whoa.
And so watching my parents come through that on the other side I didn't realize how rare that was.
Wow. I had no idea either. What I will share is that I had the 1 late-term miscarriage at 17 weeks with a boy, and then I got pregnant right away. I was not trying to get pregnant because that was truly was a near-death experience. And then the next one at 17 weeks, get this. Okay, I'll tell you the whole story. Yeah. So that first one happened on November 17th, 17 weeks, boy. Then I got pregnant, and I was given the due date of November 17th.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. That kind of gave me the chills.
Right?
Yeah.
With a boy at 17 weeks, the same thing happened.
Wow.
Yes. So then I came to Texas and I got this amazing doctor that was like, you need a stitch. You need a cervical cerclage to make sure that you're not opening up early. And I got that.
Mean? That just means they like make your vagina smaller?
What they do is they go in and they stitch your cervix together so it doesn't open up.
Is that what's happening? So like the baby was like dropping out?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's wild.
Yeah, perfectly healthy. I know. Yes.
How did you even figure that out?
This doctor.
Wow.
And my doctor in LA too was like, I think this may be the thing. He knew as well, but I was in Texas at this point.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was pretty wild. But that's one of the benefits of being open and talking to what you were speaking to about pregnancy and really just having women get together.
Yeah. Well, I think when I was younger, I used to think women got together and you bemoan men, right? You know, like you get together and you're like, no good guys, you know.
Oh, it's so not true.
Right. Yeah. I was giving a little bit of a hard time to the ladies who do my hair and makeup for this because they're beautiful. They're like stunning. Kyle knows. No, just kidding. He has a girlfriend. He's not allowed to respond. But they're like these beautiful young women.
Yeah.
And I was asking them, I'm like, what's going on? Are we dating? What's happening? And they're like, no, there's no good men here. I'm like, well, if you say that, what do you think you're putting out there? What are you going to get?
I love when you say things like that.
Well,
because that is such a deep truth.
I think it's true.
It is a deep truth. We frequency match.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Right?
Interesting.
So what's the part of you that stopped trusting men?
Yeah. Right.
And honestly, I've moved through that big time in big ways. And
how do you fix
really helped blossom me open. I think with anything, so when we're listening to the body and what the body has to say, it's the same thing. And listen, I'm far from a perfect person here. I'm definitely in deep human processes. So let me just start by saying that.
Yeah.
But for me, the way that I fixed my relationship with men was being curious about where it was coming from. What have I heard growing up? What are the conversations? What have my experiences been? And do I need to perpetuate this pattern? Or can I let it go? I think when I was driving here today, you're such a sacred spot to come home to, I must say.
Oh, yay.
I had this whole revelation actually on the way here that I'm dedicating myself to God. And I did it on my drive here. Yeah. I was like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, why not? And so in doing that, you have God as your partner to bounce everything on. Here's how I'm really feeling, and I'm going to be at least super honest with you.
Yep.
You know, just go be really honest with God and get really, really curious about yourself and where things come from and ask for help.
No, it's so true. I mean, you know, what's fascinating, this is the two girls downstairs. I said, well, have you been, I went to Red Rocks Church the other day in Austin, which is like, it's kind of lovely. It's in this like old school movie theater.
Okay.
And so it's a very new agey church, right? So it's like a bunch of young people that got together, they got cheap rent, you know, the place is slammed. It's totally full. But I went in because I'm doing a church tour to try to find a church that I like.
Yeah.
So I went with a friend of mine and we went to a few of them. And we walk in and I looked around and I was like, there's so many beautiful people here. There's so many beautiful young men and women here. And so I said that to him. I'm like, have you been to church? Like, we go every Sunday. I'm like, wow. So you're like, you know, spiritual young women. They both said they kind of newly came back to it. And I go, but do you talk to anybody when you're there? Like, no, we kind of run in, we scamper out, you know? So you're like, well, that's probably not going to help it that much.
Yeah.
But I do feel that there's this group of humans who are all feeling comfortable enough to say, I believe in God.
Yes.
Like that. I can't imagine very many people in LA when you guys were in the midst of being famous and having all of
girl, I've always just been so upfront.
Did you?
Yes.
What would people say to you? Like, was that normal? Did other people believe in God?
People in my life think I'm not. I mean, I'm like speaking light language, which in church it's talking in tongues, connecting to God, looking at like the quantum field inside somebody's body. Unabashedly, at least in my private life. And now I'm telling people a little bit. I'm like, I'm ready to let the cat out of the bag more. I'm so done of hiding. I'm so done with hiding. It's like, I'm just so done with hiding. So done with hiding. We are divine creatures.
Yep.
Sing about it. Like, just let it be. Okay, you don't believe in God. Where did we come from, and what energy created the Big Bang?
Yeah, exactly.
There was an energy that created it. What is that energy?
Yeah.
Where is all this coming from?
Yeah.
Trust your divine intelligence. And if you don't want to, that's fine. But like, I've also gone so deep. I came back from Egypt this summer. It was a profound trip for me. Tapping into our one collective consciousness. And you hear that so much about our one collective consciousness. But what happens to like actually drop into it and feel that you are me and I am you? The whole world becomes your oyster.
Mm-hmm.
The whole world is conspiring in your divine, authentic truth.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So like, why not just be honest about it? And if somebody wants to think I'm nuts, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think the part that's interesting is we all like kind of know, I heard this thing the other day that really resonated with me. And it was like, truth is like a tuning fork. You feel it when you hear it.
Yes.
And you feel it. And that's why you get the little chills. And maybe at different points in your life, you're not open enough to hear it. But I increasingly am feeling the exact same way. And I think it's important that we interweave the really tactical and quantitative like business with the things that feel a little bit more qualitative, harder to touch. And I think, what's interesting about you is you've spoken truth to power multiple times when it was not very convenient. And, like I remember in 2020, when you had a group of friends here who were, people love to think that fame is great in many ways, but, you had this group of friends who you weren't really you weren't trying to change anybody's mind. You guys were kind of private about it as far as I saw, but you had beliefs about vaccines and basically questions, some questions about them. And I remember reading this article that was like
Rolling Stone.
Yeah. Was it Rolling Stone?
Yeah, they wrote a beautiful article about me.
Okay. So explain what happened, because I remember it profoundly and thinking, what a bizarre thing for Rolling Stone to focus on.
James Van Der Beek's wife speaking conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me start by saying this. 2020 was a time of activating our shadow self.
Mm-hmm.
I had been divinely instructed to not speak the way that I was speaking. And what really activated me, and I think one of the things that they wrote about, if I was not tapping in deeper, I would have probably been like, she's nuts, But I wrote about somebody that was getting shushed.
Yeah.
And now we actually have the information that people were actually getting censored, and the real stories were actually being censored and removed from social media. Now, I felt like I was screaming to the wind because I was watching somebody post a story and then watching it get deleted and then watching them have to create new accounts.
Yep.
And these are all things that are okay to say now.
Yep.
Okay? We're being told they're rare.
Yeah.
Great. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I think the thing is we need to all be a little curious. And so, yeah, I'm just like, whatever, woman. Like, it was a woman that wrote the article. I started following her for a little bit, and I'm like, she's trying her best.
Yes. Send them love.
Just let her do her best. I think if we look deep enough, we're all going to find skeletons in the closet. Oh, you're going to find tons about me.
Of course.
Things that the things that somebody would say, and I'd be like, damn, girl, like, you should have woke up a little during that period. Okay? That's fine. So we got into a culture of trying really hard to discredit the person when the information was ringing a truth, because that tuning fork within was getting really powerful. So let's make sure we're discrediting the vessel of the truth. Yep. And so that, I believe, was a real strong tactic to bring people down. Yeah. So that article was done to discredit the vehicle, which I was not in my shining glory with my delivery systems. I wasn't. And it was very reactive. So my frequency is sharing fear. Like, that's really not actually what I want to do. But there was a lot of truth coming from here. There was a lot of truth coming from here. And I could improve upon the way that I was sharing it. But I had, I'll tell you, hundreds of people thank me for the article. They're like, I read that and I was like, thank you. Thank you, people, very unexpectedly. And almost nobody say anything negative to me.
Interesting.
People that you would be very surprised. I was like, all right.
Well, now they're all moving to Texas.
Well, listen, like a lot of the things that were deemed conspiracy theories have actually panned out as truths.
Well, I mean, look at Zuckerberg has come out now and said, actually, I wish we hadn't censored so many people around the vaccine. And also the government asked us to.
And also, the truth is, conspiracy theory itself was something utilized by the CIA to put people in their place. And whoever is utilizing this term, it's being utilized as a way to demean somebody's curiosity about where the truth is coming from. But in 2020, you know, I got to play a little devil's advocate here. Some of the things people were saying, I think, were quite far-fetched from the truth. And so, you know, conspiracy theory can be a little spark that sets off a bonfire in ways that are really not necessarily helpful to further our culture along. But I think if we just churn it into, let's be curious.
Yeah.
You know, I've grown up a lot since 2020. I think all of us have. It's like, let's just spin things into curiosity and what feels like truth and what feels like a distraction.
Yeah. And I think it should always be okay to question things. Doesn't mean you have to believe anything.
Society does not move forward without curiosity and questions.
Yep.
It doesn't.
Yep.
And so we will always be, if we're like, science, science, science. Science is a beautiful thing, and we're limited by however far science has gone up until that point.
Yeah.
So what's going to propel us further? The curiosity. Like, let's look into it. Let's study it. And I always like, when it's, you know, when we talk about truth again as a tuning fork, if you don't feel like your tuning fork is clean enough to feel truth, what you can get curious about is where life feels sticky. So like, where's your, let's talk about sex, sexual expression coming from? Is it coming from a place that feels sticky, or do you feel in your divine erotic truth? Like, where's that energetic coming from? Is it sticky? Is it coming from shame? This is where our babies come from, right? So let's get really curious with where sticky energy is, because we all have it.
Yeah.
And what's the sticky energy holding me down from seeing what's going on? And a lot of times, sticky energy is just distraction from trauma.
Yeah.
And so when we get to a place where we can start really looking at that and then unwinding our trauma and letting ourselves actually feel comfortable in feeling the things that we need to unwind, then we can have this really deep collective healing, which I believe we're having.
Yeah, it does definitely feel like there's change in the air.
Yeah.
Let's think about that. So for young women, I think young women today desperately do want partnership and somebody to be with. But they have a lot of negative commentary coming around. Men aren't great, there's no good men, all these things. If you were to, change somebody's mind, or what did you do when you started to change your mind? How did you started questioning where those stories came from? Mm-hmm. What else have you seen women do to reopen themselves to partnership?
Well, let's take this moment to just do a visual, right? So if you close your eyes and you let the animal instincts come in, like relationships, the difference is you're sexually intimate versus, a roommate. Mm-hmm. So, well, not all relationships, but when you're making babies and you're choosing a life partner, so you look and you see all these people and their animal behaviors wanting to pounce on you, which is great. Like, you're wanting to pounce back. You're an animal. We're, creatures with these desires. But then if you just sort of calm that system just a little bit, you will see the needle in the haystack clearly looking at you. And it's not hard to find when you're looking for it. And when you know and you believe it's there, and you walk directly to each other and you connect. But there's always going to be the needle in a haystack, and your frequency will draw you right to each other. You don't have to play the game.
Interesting.
You don't have to play the game.
The swiping and the...
Yeah. Well, if you want to, maybe that's how you're going to find the eyes. I don't know if you can see the visual the same way I did, but it's like there's just... Everybody feels like a shark when they're not your one.
Yeah.
You know? But your person will be there. You just have to meet them. You have to be willing to see them.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to like look through and know they're there.
Interesting. How did you because you and James have been married for 14 years,
yeah,
right? How did you two meet?
We met in Jaffa.
I don't even know what that is. Really?
Yeah.
Are you Jewish?
No, we were both on a spiritual trip. We both studied Kabbalah. Our teachers were really close. And James tells this story way better than me. But I came up to his teacher to ask him a question while James was saying he's ready to like meet his woman, meet his wife. He had gone through a divorce and was still going through a divorce, actually. But he was ready for like that serious relationship, and I interrupted that conversation.
Like, I'm literally here.
And so it took him like, I remember he was holding me in the water in the Mediterranean Sea, like, what are you looking for in a relationship? And I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, God, this guy's amazing. But like, I said, I'm not looking for a relationship. I actually wasn't looking. And there he was, and it took him not very long to
figure that out,
to work me down. And I think the magic of, you know, when you can see somebody that like he was looking right at me, there's like an openness, but there wasn't. And I find this with my friends a lot when they meet a super special somebody, they're not like desperately yearning for.
Yeah.
You know, it's this sort of blossoming that happens inside where you feel good about who you are.
Yeah.
And you're comfortable in it. And of course, there's always exceptions. You know, people meet each other and grow together all the time. But I think it's the first thing that you have to recognize is that, yeah, there are special men out there. You may have met a lot that aren't the ones for you, but maybe they're super special to somebody else.
Yeah.
And maybe like it's when two people have the right chemistry, they make each other feel really special. You know?
It's a great point. I mean, I'm sure I always joke with my husband, you know, he always says that he was a saint before me. There were no women before me, but I'm like, you were a Navy SEAL in San Diego. Like, come on, let's be honest about what's happening there. Many fruits of the loins. But I think the beautiful part about it is, you know, if you were to talk to a lot of the women before me with him, I'm sure they aren't his biggest fan.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's always been very kind and honest to a fault, sometimes badly. Yeah. But I'm sure it's the same with James. It's like, of course and with me. I'm sure if you talk to some of my exes, they'd be like, that broad was crazy.
Same.
You know?
Oh, and I definitely was.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do you bring out in each other? And even like weaving in different ways. You had said so many people get a divorce when they go through the miscarriage.
Yeah. When
James and I went through those back to back, and then his mom passed away, we have had years of grieving and wanting to kill each other. Like, it's like this deep love, snuggle, and then like,
yeah.
Because we need a safe place to take out our feelings. And unfortunately, a lot of times we do that with our partner.
That's true.
Yeah. And so, you know, we have been through so much since we moved to Texas that has made us grow in these incredible ways. But also it's like relationships, you really have to show up.
You do have to show up.
You really have to show up.
Yeah. Chris is incredible at making me show up because I'm totally avoidant often.
Yeah.
And I can really get into work and focus on everything else. And he is like, we are here. We will have the hard conversations. And that's the most important thing that we can ever do.
Yeah.
And so everything else kind of doesn't matter if the two of us aren't working. And it's a real testament to him I think, the relationship that we have today in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I think in the beginning, I was trying to think, with young people today, I'm like, God, I don't think that there's a better gift than finding a person that you can do life with and realizing it's going to be super hard. There's no rainbows and sunshines. You know that more than anything. You have 6 kids. I don't even have kids and it's hard.
Yeah.
But what a gift.
Yeah.
And I want that for more people.
Was it uncomfortable for you to show up when he pulled you in and made you show up?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm like, we'll just deal with that later. Shove that down deep inside. Yeah, that's not how my family deals. I mean, it comes back to a lot of our, how we're socialized.
Yeah.
So for my family, it was like feelings, we don't talk about them aggressively. We're kind and calm, even if we don't feel kind and calm. We don't say the quiet part out loud. And he's not like that.
Same with James. It was the most uncomfortable expansion.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
Yeah. So is he the more like, we're going to talk about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Because now I don't implode.
Yeah. 100%. Interesting.
But yeah. And I share all of this because there's this whole idea of, there's no good guys, but it's like, what's the communication and how is everybody communicating? And are you showing up to work through things together?
Yeah.
It's not always going to be your person to work through things. Or I found 2 people that have incredible relationships and then they just find, oh, this is done now. We've actually feel pretty complete. This was super magical and a little painful, but it's time to move on.
Yeah.
And I've seen people do that in such beautiful ways.
Yeah, yes, 100%. I mean, I was not quite like that with my ex when I got divorced.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to be, but just the 2 of us were young and not very evolved in that way.
Yeah.
But now I think, there's just so many ways to not villainize the other person, which is kind of what you're saying. It's like, hey, maybe this other person isn't a terrible, narcissistic, bad human.
Yeah.
They're just not right for you and you're not right for them. And I think if we could have more of that in the world and less of the casual, loose sex, who cares about your other person, men are bad, women are good, the world would be a little bit better. And part of this podcast is pushing back on this philosophy. And I think it's really important also to show the beauty of motherhood, which we don't really get to talk about that much. Unless you're listening to a motherhood podcast, and who's listening to a motherhood podcast?
They're not.
Mothers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And here's the thing with the beauty of motherhood. So I feel like I'm the phone call that a lot of people make when they get pregnant or, they're feeling isolated in their motherhood.
That's what I've heard about you.
I do not think society supports motherhood. I actually think it is setting mothers up for failure. And it's really devastating.
How?
Everybody calls me and tells me how lonely they are. And they can't take a shower. And some people can take a deep pleasure in that, but everybody needs time for themselves too.
Yeah.
What happened to being in the same house together? What happened to having families in the same house together or living like a village? We all have, at our best, our own pool and our own sauna and our own kitchen and our own big bedroom or, And sometimes I see these families not being able to afford all those things, and they are living together, and they feel supported, and they take care of each other's children. And I'm like, who is the joke on?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this so separately? I was in the middle of Beverly Hills living the life, right?
Yep.
And it's like, I want to wake up and do breakfast with a sister and their kids. And, so I came here and community was so important to me. And we moved on to a spot where I could have friends move on. I have my sister and her son at the house right now. Do you know how psyched my son Jeremiah is to wake up and see his 3-year-old cousin every morning?
Yeah.
We have 2 more mornings of that. But why not more? Because we all have to work to pay our property taxes so we can get medical insurance and so that we can pay for more roads and pay for more separation and pay for more trips. But what happened to like just being together? I'm so sick of this culture, honestly. Like I'm so sick of it. And I'm like, okay, but I need to show up for the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I need to show up for the game. So I'm the person that could absolutely live in a yurt in the middle of a forest.
I get that vibe from you.
I'm so serious. I will build my hobbit house into the ground.
No shoes.
No shoes. Live next to me. We will do all the homemade things together. I like, you know, I'm super down to be the boss bitch too. I love working and I love that kind of thing, but like, not if it's taking away from my time with my kids.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a giant movement right now of coming back to sort of traditional values. I think women everywhere, like on Instagram, and we're seeing the sourdoughs with the pansies on top of them, and we're seeing the little apothecaries in the kitchen, and we're kind of like coming back full circle to this, like.
But they're exhausted.
That is the problem.
They're exhausted.
Like, I don't have time to make a pumpkin sourdough cake.
Here's the thing. Like, not all of them are exhausted.
I'm pretty tired.
Some people have figured it out.
Yeah.
I love cooking. I would love to cook. But do you know what else has to happen too? Cleaning all the shit that we're buying with all the money that we're making and having too much abundance.
Yeah.
That's a freaking job.
So how do we, so how do people start bringing this in their lives? Like I've watched, for instance, I don't know you as well, but I've watched like Gabby, for instance, another girlfriend of ours, does an incredible job of like Shabbat every Friday, everybody's invited over.
Yeah.
She does an incredible job of saying like, no, just come stay with us and like bring some food and like, you know, whatever. And we hang out there for like an entire weekend. And I think especially because the generation right below us, they're like, they don't want to call, they want to text one another. They've kind of gotten away from being close because technology has inserted itself. And I think it's like, if young people, if you could like be the person who's the center, doesn't even mean you have to have the house, but just invite other people over, bring them into the mix more frequently, and try to offload some of the work.
Yes.
Because otherwise it is exhausting because you're lonely and you're doing everything.
Yes. This is what everybody calls and tells me. I'm like, and God bless the Gabbies because I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Come over. Come spend the weekend. Come spend the week. Just come over. My favorite thing is when all our cabin rooms are taken. Now, not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
You know, I see Elon's book here, or this book about Elon, and I'll say one fun fact about Elon.
Yeah.
My friend Bree, her daughter sleeps in the same room with her son, and Elon takes over their room when he's in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, he's very communal, right?
He last I talked to him, he was sleeping at a friend's house. It's like we can have all the things. It doesn't mean we need to have them all by ourselves.
That's such a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Kim and I, a good friend of Kim, we do sleepovers whenever her husband are out of town. And I'm like a 38-year-old woman doing a sleepover.
But why not?
But it's actually one of our favorite moments.
Yes. When
Bring back sleepovers.
When my husband leaves, I invite friends to come over. And it's like when the cat's away, the mice will play.
They just like flowers and wine and like
or I have all my kids in my room with me and we do that. And I think this like merging to more of a village life is a really beautiful ideal, but not everybody is supported in being able to just do this, right? Yeah. So if you see somebody in your life that's not supported in being able to do this, invite them in.
Yeah, bring them over.
Bring them on over. And if they want, you know, it's like I'm not here to change other people or decide how they live, but I'll live the way that I want to live the best that I can. And if that inspires somebody, then it does.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Like, that's where I'm at this point in life.
Yeah, it's a better way to be. I want to end talking a little bit about school.
Okay.
So you homeschool your kids, right?
Not anymore.
Mixture. 100% not.
Tell me
what's going on.
Yeah. So in LA, I started a school at my house. And then when I got pregnant with my 5th child, I was like, this is not happening in here anymore. And it was 8 kids. People took their first day of school photos at my door. And I loved it. And the kids were learning Korean and Spanish and singing, and it was a lot of fun. My kids don't have all good memories of it because they didn't want structure in their own house. So there's things with that as well. And then they went to another school that was similar at somebody else's house after that. It was a beautiful experience for them. And we've also done homeschooling, and I say that lightly. Yeah. There's a whole sort of movement to unschool as well.
Right.
Which is like, let's create that culture where we live together and kids sort of let their curiosities guide the way. I think it works for some, but not all. Then during COVID, I had my kids in some sort of schooling program that wasn't working, and then I had them home. And what I found was, and here's how there's like a little bit of a surrender to live with the world, not just new earth or against the ways we all have to weave together, right?
Yeah.
And some of my kids were wanting a school experience.
Yeah.
And so, it's like part of the parenting thing is I know what I want for you. I'm going to give that to you. And when you get curious about something else, if it's not dangerous, I'm going to honor that. Yeah. So my oldest started public school this year. And for me, that is huge. I did public school. I hated it. I felt like I was forced to learn for 8 hours a day, things I was very uninterested in. And the whole reason somebody gets passionate about alternative educations for their children is probably because they didn't have an experience that felt nurturing to them.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I provide everything I can so that my kids can have a different experience. And then I got a text, one of the best texts ever from my daughter, is she has a phone, which I think delay that phone as long as we can. But I get a text from her because I'm going to go pick her up. And she was like, Mom, I just want to say thank you. I'm having the time of my life at public school. And I really appreciate you having the conversations with me and honoring my exploration of what I want to do. It was the most mature text ever. And I was like, that's my child that I had in the hospital that taught me to surrender a little bit to whatever the system that wanted to work through was. And guess what? It's working out for her.
That's great.
I think there's so many people that are like, they think of me and they think crunchy, granola, alternative. And that's all true. But the one thing that is the most important to me is to also like meet my children where they're at and honor them. And I'm having to play some catch up for some of the kids that are seeing how awesome a time Olivia's having in school, and now they're wanting the same thing. Maybe she's loving it so much because she didn't have it. Exactly. So, it's like, it's just a different experience for her. Football games, studying, she loves it. I'm like, regurgitating information for a test. Are you conceptually understanding it? No? You're still having fun? Okay. Like, let's still make sure we're conceptually understanding things as well. She's almost 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough age in general, too.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest thing in supporting my kids as they're wanting to branch out and experience, the system, is that I just keep them curious thinkers and critical thinkers. So you heard something. How does it sit with you? Is the truth tuning fork going off? Does it feel sticky? What's the energetics behind it? I mean, we've been learning false history for so long, right? So, question, get curious.
Interesting. Is there a process that you guys have? Like, for instance, my husband and I each night, we do like 2 things. We love to have a glass of wine together or
Yeah.
some sort of drink, but we're never allowed to have the same cheers. So each night it's like, let's cheers to something. And you don't have to be ridiculous or over the top about it, but like, let's have a little intentional moment of something that could be very habitual and sort of habit forming that you don't think about much. And then he also does a really great thing each day where instead of just like, how's your day, honey? Which always sort of annoyed me.
Yeah.
But instead we really usually at the end of the day talk about one thing we learned. Like, tell me, like, what did you learn today? Like, what's interesting? What are you bringing back? Because I didn't get to see you all day. So tell me, is there something you do like that with your kids or with your family?
I feel like those conversations are just birthed organically because there are some days where with my 6 kids, I'm like, I just want to be able to like
every day
answer your one question over there, or the one of you that wants like a snuggle in private time, and the world is not supporting that moment right now. So when I can get them, I'm really savoring them.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing for me is to be curious. You know, it sounds like your husband and your husband have curiosity about each other. Yeah. And so for me, it's like, where are we at with boys or girls, or like, are we crushing? What's the conversation? What's feeling hard for you? What's, like just having an open conversation with them and not judging responses is going to be so big for keeping that open communication. But you can like intuit who's needing more from you and create a space for it. So I like, it's just not just a husband.
Doesn't get to be a one size fits all.
It's not. It's like, oh, that one needs extra. Something's going on. Come here. It's like having the octopus tentacles out and like feeling, you come here. And we have like a Sunday thing that we just enacted where I realized they're all getting older and they want to know what's going on in the week, and they were not receiving that sort of structure from me. I need some of you. I need some of the structure queen to be moving through me. So I'm like, okay. So Sunday dinners are family dinners. Everybody's home. We're going to go over the schedule for the week. Right. Does anybody have, and we do these little family things, for example, like around the table. What's important for you this fall? Like, is there something that you really want to see, really want to happen? And my son is always like, he wants the fall decor. He wants the fall smells. He'll even describe the experience he wants with the way the light fills the room onto the table.
Wow.
He gets very detailed with the smells and the thing.
Yeah, like the future actor creative there.
Oh, all of them.
All of them?
All of them want in on the industry, by the way. Wow. As of now, we'll let that, see what happens. And then Olivia will be like, oh, I want to go to the football games, and but it's like, what's important to you, and let's see how we can honor this experience, and so
I love that. I can't even. Do you want to have more kids? Or are we done at 6?
James had surgery.
Oh. You're like after. That seems like sufficient. You've done your job. You've helped Elon out, repopulated the earth. I know that's an end to him. We've gotten past that. I guess where I kind of wanted to close it out is, if there is somebody listening about having a hard time maybe getting pregnant, maybe having a hard time tapping into a lot of the feminine abundance you've had in that way, what would you tell them? Where would you steer them? What books should they be reading? Who should they be listening to?
I think the first thing they need to know is, my life looks great, and I've had a very gifted, blessed life. I fuck up all the time. I have had really hard days. I have snapped. I have felt like shit, and I feel so incredible and amazing and beautiful. And so the first thing I just want to do is acknowledge a woman where she's at and know that she's not alone. I think that is the first thing. Because if we all understand that we all have struggles, because we're not living as a village anymore, we are not intimate with each other's struggles. That's one of the things that we're missing. Yeah. You're having a bad fucking day. Let's get into it. Yeah. Like, I can see it because I see you every day. We can't do that. We're hiding behind these lives on social media. And the reality is, if my kids are having a bad day or I'm struggling, it may not be appropriate for my whole family for me to share that on social media either. So no fault to anybody. It's like, okay, we've had a hard year. There's been a really difficult struggle we've been moving through, and it's not at my capacity to talk about it right now.
Yeah.
You know? So the first thing is you're not alone. The second thing is in a book. The second thing is be with yourself. Be with yourself. Have you allowed yourself time in bed to sit with how fucking depressed you feel? Have you said, okay, light body, I want you to come through me right now, and I want you to hold all the pain so that the pain doesn't feel like it has to drive anymore. I want you to sit on the bench with me and let me move through the tears and breathe, and I need you to guide me. Guide me. Bring the right books. Bring the right people. Bring the process of moving through the emotional blockages. Bring the light activation in my body. And from there, I think Spirit Babies by Walter Mackey-Chen is an amazing book. I just love it. And it's not everybody's flavor. So if it's not your flavor, invite your flavor in. You know, that's my flavor. I love that shit. I love it. Yeah. And yeah, but that's the one thing. It's like, are you spending time with yourself? Are you giving your emotions, the pain that you've experienced in life, breathing room with a light driver? So where it's like, okay, this doesn't control me, but I let it, I know how to hold it and just let that happen. And also make a phone call. If you haven't made a phone call, find the 3 people that you're going to feel really, really safe sharing everything with, the hard stuff, and get on a text thread. I need a Zoom call. I need tea. I need a womb massage. I need to cry. What do you need? But first you have to know what you need. You have to be with yourself.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Because half the time in business too, that's why it doesn't work, is because you don't actually know what you want.
Yeah, if your first thing is a book,
yeah,
you are already in somebody else's complete energetic field of what they think you need.
Oh, it's very true.
It's just not you.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to ask yourself the tough questions before you can. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good reminder. I always go back to the Oracle of Delphi too. Know thyself. And I think that is the most beautiful thing you could give any human, is try to figure out who you are.
Try to figure out who you are.
This was so good.
I'm so happy to be here.
Now, where do you like everybody to go find you? I know.
Oh boy.
Instagram. Your podcast?
Instagram is great right now. My Instagram handle is Vander Kimberly. I've actually not been doing my podcast recently. I found it was so incredible. It's been so amazing. And I am actually creating a newborn course because
we need that.
Yes, I have so much.
Create a pregnancy course too, like how to get pregnant?
I definitely should. I started a new company that's going to hold all of this. I need a team like you have down there. I got to work that out.
I know we should have started with this.
Well, you know, but then I think
come back on when you have it.
Yes, I'll come back on when I have it, because I do believe that it is those newborn days that set the seed for how you show up as a mom for yourself. Yeah. For your baby, how you're putting boundaries and expectations on the people in your life, and getting very clear on your needs and what's needed, and how to start listening to that truth tuning fork within your own body, how to gather information and then let your intuition come through, fold that in. These are all things I'm including in the newborn course, as well as little things that if I would have known on the first or second baby and didn't learn it on my 5th or 6th baby, it would have changed my life. Like there was one tip that I'm going to share, that this woman wrote me. I have a daycare and you changed my life with this. And that one tip is this. There are many cultures that don't birth a newborn. And there are some pressure points where if you just touch little spots, it helps the newborn just naturally burp up gas. So just reimagining everything we've ever learned of
Yeah.
That's okay. Sometimes I feel like I need that right here, or my kids need that. But when I shared this other way of just like rubbing the back gently like this or holding your hand, you can like feel the energy of the burp moving up and through. It's so interesting.
Whoa.
This woman was like, all my babies with acid reflux stopped projectile vomiting across the entire room all the time. The amount of moms that wrote me on that little thing, I'm like, that took me 5 kids.
Yeah.
5 kids.
What's even like the face massage on babies?
Oh, yeah.
I've been reading about that. I don't know why I'm reading about that. First of all, it looks amazing. Every time I see that baby getting rubbed,
Oh, yeah.
next.
Yes.
But there are so many things. It's overwhelming. I mean, I'll be hollering at you once I get lucky, hopefully enough to have that happen. But you're right. It's overwhelming, all the things they teach you.
It's overwhelming. So again, how do we bring it back to self? If that baby picked you, and then also if somebody's hearing this and they already have children, I fucked everything up with my first child. Okay? She did not sleep at night. She was very colicky. I didn't know what to do about that. 3 hours a night, she was crying. When she woke up in the morning, I put her on a swing in front of Yo Gabba Gabba. That is the opposite of what I would do right now. And that child is so resilient and so loving and so tender and so present and so self-aware that like there's this whole thing that we have to get it all perfect as well. And we also have to throw that away because the reality is we are all such divine, perfect creatures. We're here for the earth experience.
Yep.
We are here to mess up. We're here to learn from it. We are here for this like exploration of life. And I think we just have to remember that because this like perfection mentality to have it all right or to even have it all natural and have it all homeschooled and blah, 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 it's just all pressure that we don't need.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I think you need a glass of whiskey, even though I try not to drink too much.
Or mezcal.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
I
really
agree.
into mezcal lately. Actually.
Love it.
Yeah.
I don't really drink anymore, but a
for
little
you.
sake or mezcal on the rare occasion is perfect.
I love that. Also, I didn't realize, this is the dumbest thing, but that tequila can be 51% tequila and 49% whatever else. Did you know that?
Oh, the food. Don't get me started.
Yeah,
with the
okay.
food
Well, that would be a
industry.
whole
The food industry. Oh, the
food
food
is
industry.
clean. It has to be 100% mezcal.
Yeah. So my friend has a mezcal company, Kimosabi. It's great.
Okay, I'll have to try it.
Yeah.
Right. Vander Kimberly.
Yeah,
Is that right on all the socials?
it is. Yeah.
Thank you for coming. With sales, the only thing that makes you better is more. I would actually do the opposite of what you're doing. I would obsess on one thing if I was you. What's the process? Are you now the richest of all of your friends? 75% of businesses fail. What makes the 25% that win? Persistence. Here's the good news. Everyone has the same problems. So whether you're just getting started, trying to grow, or even trying to sell for the first time, you're not the first person to be in this position. So today, I'm solving your business problems, and I'm doing it live with people I've picked at random from my community of 800 plus business buyers and owners, asking what their biggest problem is. Welcome to the Problem Profit. How can we make everybody some money around here? What can we do for you today? How can we help?
We are looking to create kind of a pipeline for new clients.
Okay, break down for me what types of clients, what are we selling? Give me some specifics.
So we're looking for some more commercial cleaning clients. So we're looking for businesses around like 10,000 square feet. The other thing, a bit related with bring out more clients, but bring out more employees.
Michelle's biggest problem is that she needs more customers and she also needs more employees. She's got the two sides of a small business as her biggest issue. We're going to solve part of the customer issue, which in commercial contracting is hard. That's a meaty issue. And then I think this getting more employees is actually way easier than anybody thinks. Let's see if we're right. What's your website?
CleanChoiceWI.com.
The lifeblood of small businesses is reviews. It is making sure that when people think, especially from a commercial standpoint, that they're going to change their service, you will crush it. And in a market like yours that's relatively small, you want to make sure that you are standing up at the top from an SEO perspective, and reviews are one of the best ways to do it. The best way to get clients is to have your current clients tell other people to come along because the service is great. 99% of consumers, before they do a purchase, they read a review. If your reviews are below 3.5 stars on average, customers will likely not consider your product. And most of the time, something like 95, 96% of the time, customers look for the negative reviews when they search through reviews, not just the positive ones. One of the most impactful things you can do in a small business is try to figure out how to get more people to say nice things about you. How many clients do you have right now?
We have 10 clients.
So I would obsess on one thing if I was you, which is reviews to start. I would reach out to every single one of your 10 clients and with a bit of a handhold, give them a reason to give you guys a review. Probably go walk into them if you can and go straight to the owner and say, I have such an embarrassing ask. We just took over this company. It would mean the world for me if you would write us a review. I kind of drafted one up right here. Like I have it on my phone. Like, could I text this to you? Would you mind? Like, are you we could workshop it. Just be so, kind of sweet and endearing. And my guess is, by and large, they're going to say yes. So you're going to go from 3 to 10 reviews. I love helping business owners solve their problems. It's miserable to go it alone, but it's not always possible for us to be in the same place doing it at the same time. When I can't meet in person, there's only one tool I use for all my conversations. That's this, Riverside, aka what you're listening to right now. Riverside ensures that I can talk to someone anywhere in the world and record it in 4K. So the quality of the video actually matches the quality of the people when I post these videos on YouTube. And when you're having a vulnerable conversation, there's no worse way to start than, can you hear me? Can you see me? That doesn't happen with Riverside. Riverside also records separate audio and video tracks so we can cut out those inevitable awkward interruptions that I know are all of our favorite parts about virtual interviews. If you don't want to edit separate tracks by hand, Riverside has already thought of that. They have in-platform editing software that edits based off of a 99% accurate AI transcription. And if that's not simple enough, they take AI one step further with their show notes. Summarize all your content into a description, optimize for SEO and automatic chapters so you know your audience knows what to expect when diving in. I love tech. I got you guys a deal. If you want to try it for yourself, get the code and link in the description. That's not going to get you what you need to get. You need a lot more reviews to do it. Now, you don't do any residential cleaning, correct?
So we work with like the larger property management companies usually. So there are like smaller companies within these buildings that see us and are work with us too, but that could be a good way to get more people.
What's kind of cool is if you Google commercial cleaning Milwaukee, which is usually where I start, the other cleaning services don't have that many. So I see one that looks like it services house cleaning as opposed to commercial that has like 200 reviews, but the rest of them, and another one that has 500 reviews. So there's 2 house cleaning services that are pretty aggressive. But the rest of them have basically no reviews. And so if you have 13 reviews plus, let's say, another 10 underneath that, plus the couple contracts you're going to do for your family and friends that they can also review you on. You're going to start ranking higher, and then you're going to have inbound. Okay. Then the second thing that I would do is, we talked about the referral process just a little bit. You said you're working the problem. What's the process for referrals? Do we have one right now?
Not really. It's been for me to go in and get some more face-to-face time with the clients. But again, those are usually the ones that we're cleaning for, not the property managers, or kind of who pays the bill. I don't know if I'm even necessarily, that'll be good for getting reviews, probably, is like creating that relationship. But as far as getting more clients, I don't know if I'm quite talking to the right people.
Do you have any really good relationships with the 10 clients you have right now? Are any of them like you're their really trusted person? You guys are friends?
I have some that are decent, but none that are super strong, unfortunately, right now.
Okay, so I think that should be mission critical is you don't have that many clients, so you don't need a comprehensive process, but I always feel good if I have a plan and I follow the plan. So I'd create like a little 1-page brief and an Excel spreadsheet, and in it, a simple plan. That's going to be, I'm going to take out to coffee or lunch, or it's probably cold in Milwaukee right now. I'm going to take them a bone broth if they're the kind of healthy type. I'm going to take them like some hot cocoa, whatever it is, to the office. And I'm going to ask them if I could borrow 20 or 30 minutes of their time. Again, you have a benefit that you are a new owner of this business and you all are young. And so you're asking for a favor. You're like, remember when you started out and it was tough? We're trying to get some referrals. We're so good at the service now, but we're not so good at marketing. We're not very good salespeople. Can you help me out? Yeah. And I always kind of do this, I hate to say it, works great with men. Works awesome with men. You give them a little wink, like, come on, I'm like the daughter you had that's nice to you still, And so I would use that. That's your first range. The cold calling thing is interesting. I think in the beginning of a business where you all are at, you guys are the best cold callers. And and it's great to have a service, but I only usually like to bring in cold callers in my business when I already have a set process and I have a lot of what's called sales enablement. And sales enablement resources are things like, here's a list of all the testimonials we have about how great we are. Here's a list of the services that we have that's different than everybody else. Here's a list of a kind of client that we serve really well and one that we don't, and we'll refer to you to somebody else if you're not that type. Yeah. Here's what we say when they tell us no.
Right. We need to pitch, right?
Right, exactly. And so this is all called sales enablement. And you want to have these resources available for your cold calling team. Otherwise, they're not going to be very productive. And so I feel like what you guys should be doing first is probably leading from the front. And this is not that complicated. This is like you say, okay, every single day, I am for 1 hour or 2 hours max. I am going to sit down and write out a list of prospects that I think are reasonable. And I'm going to call every single one of them during that time period. And then usually at the end of the day, the next day, back when I did this when we originally had some of our businesses, I would keep a call sheet and I'd write out who are the names for the next day. And I'm a little bit older, so now you would do this all on a CRM or in your computer, but I used to write it out. And there's something really nice about crossing them off as you go. The other thing you might want to think about here is getting the avatar. The 10K square foot thing is good to know. The fact that other people, that property managers at the sort of highest level are your target is good to know. Because what you really want is a super tight avatar. Like right now, do you know who you serve incredibly well? And the answer is probably not, because you only have 10 clients.
Right.
And so whoever does your cold calling, they're only going to be as good as the data that they give you too. And so you need to create some sort of CRM, or it can be really simple in a spreadsheet of who are the owners you reached out to, where are they located, what was the square footage of the building? What kind of company was this? Were they interested? Did they take more than a phone call or not? Did they already have current cleaners, or were you their first cleaners? All the indicators of what would be a great commercial cleaners Milwaukee client, right?
Okay.
And so, so you might find out, wow, we do incredible when this is their first time getting outsourcing cleaning. That's our target. We want to find them.
Right.
Or you might say, we do incredible with office complexes that have a lot of manufacturing, they're really dirty. And so I think you need to narrow down your target avatar. All right, I don't love their sales process right now. We got to make some major changes to the way that they're going out and trying to close sales. I think violence and speed of action in sales is really important, followed very closely by a systematic way to track every single engagement you're having with potential buyers. And most people fail at the second, and they never even try the first. So we got to get them to move faster on going after clients aggressively, and we got to get them to track how every single one of their interactions went. How can we help?
So in my vending business, I have a significant challenge with locating.
They need more sales.
So the primary issue is the presence of a large distributor, right? And they do vending on the side. My advantage is that I have higher quality machines, I have higher quality product, and a better customer service. And so I'm trying to figure out how I can overcome the competition.
They've got vending machines, they've got the operations, but they don't have enough revenue. We're going to see if we can figure out how to get this guy more money in the door by getting him more locations. Do you have to compete for the same business? Is there a way to tier the end user that you are going after that wouldn't be really that interesting for your competitor?
I do go for both, right? And a lot of the cases that I go into, there's already vending there. Things that I hear from people that I do end up taking over from them is that they offer poor service. They don't stock the machines. The machines are broken half the time. They don't work. And so that's when I can really get in there, but they're under contract.
Wait, let me ask another question. So what's your hit rate or your success rate on somebody already having vending with one of your competitors and they all have contracts? How often are you convincing them to come to you?
I don't know. I'd have to reach out to maybe 30 or 40 places to find one that isn't under contract or is able to move on.
What's your hit ratio if you find a spot that doesn't have vending in it right now and no competitors are in?
I haven't closed one that doesn't have vending yet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's actually a higher ratio of converting current users than converting people who don't have vending and you talk them into it. What's your sample size? How many have you reached out to?
I have reached out to probably largely around maybe 100 different businesses in the area.
So we're not dealing with really a big enough sample size, because if you only reached out to 100 and you're getting, let's say, 3 of those 90, do you know what percentage of the 100 are currently using vending machines as opposed to what percentage are not?
Yeah, I would say like 95% have vending.
So basically, how many have you reached out to that don't have vending?
Literally, it's probably been like 3 that I found that don't have vending. So like for me to identify that they don't have vending, I have to like physically go into the location. So I spend days just driving around and I see how many cars are there and I walk in and I ask them if they have vending. That's one of my first questions. Then I just continue to call, and it's usually the decision makers and thin or like a lot of these are kind of remote run businesses. So I'm not necessarily dealing with the decision maker at the first go. So I have to continually reach out in hopes that I reach them at a time when the decision maker is actually there.
The biggest thing you can do in sales is turn sales into a statistical numbers game, which means you need to document every single phone call you make. You need to document who said yes and who said no. You need to document how long it took from the moment that you called them to the moment that you closed them. With sales, the only thing that makes you better is more information and decreasing the knowledge gap. What I find with most salespeople is they instead feel like there's some sort of, if they use this word, it'll work out really well. Oh, they used this close, and so that worked. Actually, you don't sell anybody anything. You find the people who already want what you're selling, and you just figure out who are those people better, and then you don't have to sell them because they are waiting for the thing that you have. And that's a mistake I made many times in my business. And so I think he needs more numbers, but he also needs to track who are the type of people that already want what he's selling. Let's take it a step back for a second. Yeah. What do most of these businesses look like that have vending that have become your ideal clients? Are they strip malls? Are they small multifamily apartment buildings? What's the profile?
Basically, they're like an office complex or just like a factory where there's lots of blue collar workers. That are there. Like ideally it would be 24 hours. So like I think about facilities, manufacturing facilities that have, multi shifts.
Your process right now is really individual listings that you find and you either drive to go see them or you reach out via email or phone call to a set number of listings. Is that the process right now?
Pretty much, it's brute force. Yeah.
Yeah. And where are you located?
I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas.
So a couple things I think about when I'm trying to do a sales strategy is, first, I always ask myself, what if it was easy? So if I ask myself, what if it was easy, what would it look like? And in your case, if it was easy, I think something that would be really great for you is, what if you could get to all the owners in one place for your 3 types of target markets? So your, let's call it factories and industrial complexes, your office owner types, and then maybe you think it could be something like these absentee stores. So like, what if I could get into a room with those 3 types of people? And so I would actually do the opposite of what you're doing. What I'd want to do is I would want to go get relationships with big groups where you can be in the center of influence pool. So I don't know if you've already done this, but typically when we try to sell any of our B2B products, we go to trade association. So almost immediately I'm looking up, where's the like industrial real estate meetup Corpus Christi? Where is the office owners, office real estate investors, Corpus Christi? Where's the small business owners, SBA Corpus Christi? Because what I actually want to do is I want to just meet the owners. And if I believe that if I meet more owners than anybody else, even if they themselves do not have the facility for you to go into, you're going to develop a friendship. You're going to tell them what you do. And you're not going to try to pitch anybody. You're just going to start explaining your business. Yeah, we have an incredible business. We almost have like more demand than we can handle. And it works out because, we have vending machines and we charge nothing to put in and maintain the vending machines in people's locations. We have, I think, the best customer service out there, and it's wild. We pay people a percentage of what we sell. So it's like free found money. So I'm kind of like beating people off me, actually, to place my vending machines. And then you would say, what do you do? And if you're in the Corpus Christi real estate investors group, they're going to tell you, I own this. You're going to go, do you have a vending machine in all of yours? And they might go, yes, no, maybe so. Who else do you know who I should talk to? And I would basically build my entire business off of networking at center of influence events. So I don't know if you've thought about doing that yet, but you just have such a higher hit ratio if you can get in a room where all the players already are and you can label yourself a player. I think a couple good places to start are, one, Facebook groups are wild. There's a Facebook group for everything. So I would actually look in there, especially probably most of these people who are owners who are a little bit older. And then the second thing that I would do is I would go to a forum like Bigger Pockets, because real estate investors are going to be probably one of your best target markets. And Bigger Pockets has segmentation by every city in the country. And so I'd be trying to find who are like, what if it was really easy and there's like 5 to 10 guys you need to know in Corpus Christi who know all the guys who own all the real estate in your spheres? Yeah. How do you get to those 5 or 10? You become best buds with them. You almost do unfair deals for them. And because you did that, everything else starts spiraling from there. And so I'm going to shut up for a second, but that's kind of idea number 1. Is that helpful?
Yes, I like that idea. I never thought about, but yes, to your point, like get everybody in one room, that would be perfect.
What else would be helpful for us to discuss?
We've been trying to figure out what works really good for us to bring on those like hourly, lower wage kind of employees. And the way to do it is definitely not just setting up interviews and hoping people show up. We have no luck with that. The best way we found is actually to just start like creating a relationship with people. But I would like to give them a little bit more of a view into the job, I guess, rather than just like a phone conversation of, you're going to be cleaning a business and, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I try to create more of, a millennial culture of like, you can show up when you want as long as you're there from, for this many hours. We have a ton of flexibility. You can pick up extra hours. Like it's more under their control.
Now, when it comes to employees, I actually think this one we're going to figure out. She basically has an issue where she can't get more employees in the door. And then if she does get them, they don't show up. Every small business owner has this exact same thing. Do you have good employees right now?
Yeah.
Do you ask them for referrals and incentivize them with bonuses?
I do not. I ask them if they know anybody, but I don't have any incentives.
Almost always in every one of my businesses, the best employees you either steal from somebody else or they're referred by one of your best employees. And the great part about if they're referred is then there's a much higher likelihood they're going to keep showing because that's somebody else's responsibility. I would do 2 things. I would institute a company-wide policy for referrals and bonuses for if somebody refers somebody to the company and they stay longer than X period, whatever you want that period to be.
Right.
And I would make the bonus not immaterial. Make it something that would make them excited. And then I would go to 2 or 3 of your best employees right now, and I would sit down with them and say, I'll pay you for this hour of me sitting down with you. Would you help me think through who you might know or who other people might know that would be a good fit for our company? I want to pay you to think about referring for me. And I will also give you a bonus if any of these people come. And then if you can get 1 or 2 of them to refer, you make a really big deal about the referral and the bonus. So everybody else, you go, incredible, Stacy gave us a referral. Stacy gets something cute, make her feel really special. And then she also gets the X dollar amount bonus. And you do that a couple of times. And maybe even you keep a list every single month. The number 1 referrer is here, because what gets measured gets managed. And what people have in front of their face is usually the thing, from a recency bias, they continue to pay attention to. And so that's where I'm starting.
Too, because we don't even have any regular communication between all of our employees. Usually it's just us to them. They don't even know each other. So setting up, even a little employee newsletter to kind of let them know what's going on could be a great way to share that information.
100%. Yeah. And some of the fun things you can do in an employee newsletter in the beginning is if you don't have that many people, at the end, put a $5 gift card. Did you make it all the way to the end? That's awesome. Here's a little something that you get. And then what you're doing is, it's Pavlov's dog, right? We all are incentive-driven machines. And so we only do the things that are positively charged for us to do more of. And so if you can give them a little endorphin rush from the activity that you want, employees will tend to do more of it. And I don't think you have to go overboard with this. You can do those 1 to 2 different activities, and you should get some results. When you treat employees well, and when you pay them well, and when you treat them consistently the same way over time, they end up staying and they tell other people about it. Happy people bring along other happy people. So I think they are going to solve this, and this business will do well as long as they can get more customers. The second thing that I might consider doing is there's a lot of junior people that, one, are interested in the vending machine space, that just like the vending machine space. And something kind of magical happens when a young, hungry kid goes to older, tried and true vets and asks them if they'll take a chance on their business. And what I've found is often we use them as deal sourcers in our business, but people will tell them things and people will give them access that sometimes they won't give people like you or me because, I don't know, there's some guard up or maybe a little bit more on their level. If you had a niece, a nephew or whatever, and you could teach them the door knocking portion, and you could say, you have skin in the game in this business with me because I will give you a percentage for as long as you work with me of X that you do. And let me set you up. And I want you to go on these routes. And here's how I want you to do it. And I want you to do it from a perspective of, I am a naive young kid. And I actually have this business that I'm working on with my friend. And, we're really good. We partnered up with a serious operator, but would you guys take a chance, on a young kid who wants to do something like this? And that's also really hard to turn down. And then it's not an apples comparison of here's a big guy versus you. It's, do you want to take a chance on somebody who reminds you of yourself 20 years ago or not?
That's really fabulous because I actually run this business with my daughter who's 17.
Oh,
I think it's a great opportunity for her to learn. So she's been with me throughout this whole journey. And that's kind of a big selling point from on my website is about, hey, this is a father-daughter endeavor and it was meant to bring us together, right? So I would just have to work with her getting past the hurdle of talking to people. So not that it's unsurmountable, but kids these days don't seem to want to talk to adults. And so, but I also have an ambitious 18-year-old daughter who is definitely the talker. So
yeah, you could send the 2 of them out. Let the one who's not the talker be the logistics, and she might be really good at keeping the other one on focus and making sure she does, the amount that she wants to do in order to close. But I love that. That could be a really cool additional little venue for you. I love that this is a father-daughter business. I work with my dad. He actually is employed at this firm and was at one of the others that I ran previously, as was my mom and brother, actually. So I think it's really cool. Also, this is a great starter business for a 17-year-old. It's not that complex. It's pretty low scale. You're not going to have a ton of expenses called CapEx in order to run these businesses. And so I like vending machines. They're like a gateway drug business. I think if you're young and hungry, starting with something like a vending machine is an interesting way to see what does it look like to have a P&L and to run a business day to day. I think they'll be successful in this business because he's putting in a lot of work and he's bringing in other people to help them. I think at some point this business will seem too small. They'll probably sell it. Maybe he sells it to his daughter and it's her business that she runs, and then he goes and tackles a bigger business. Maybe the last idea I have for you, and then we should circle back. I like to have a guy in a city. And so, I'm thinking of Rob Built because he's in Houston, but I might try to find who is the sort of like influencer or somebody who talks about real estate in Corpus Christi, if there is one. And can you befriend somebody like that who in a small market, everybody might actually follow them? I did that with Rob. And so now if ever I need something in Houston, or also if I need something in tiny homes, because he kind of specializes in tiny homes and Airbnbs, sure. He's my go-to. And he can get to almost anybody in the industry. So you might, depending on how big your business is, want to do something fun where you're like, you know what? I want to give you a vending machine route. Me and my team are actually going to run it, but I'm going to give you like 3 machines. I'm going to give you, and by it, I'm just going to give you the affiliate revenue, on it. And if I sell, this particular portion of the business, you can get something from it, but we could create content around it and you could talk about, how you're serving the neighborhood or whatever. And, sure. And I might consider trying to find a center of influence online too. But I think the first 2 ways are better than that last one. That last one could maybe just be more fun for your daughters.
Do you know how would you go about finding like those influencers in your area like that?
I think you can train your algorithm pretty quickly. One, I would stick your 18-year-old on it. She's going to be better at this than either one of us. But typically they're on Instagram, easiest to find. Okay. And you just Google around for like Corpus Christi real estate. And once you start like kind of following accounts like this, your feed just gets redirected to them nonstop. Okay. And so that's, I think, where I would start. But I also don't think you should do too many tactics at once. You already have one tactic, so now you get to pick one more to add and do aggressively for the next 30 to 60 days and highly document it. And then you add the next one, the next 30 or 60 days. When I ran our sales team in Latin America at First Trust, I allowed our sales teams to have 2 big tactics that they try consistently. And so at any given time, you might have 2 new ways you go to sell people things. The reason why sales tactics don't usually work isn't even the tactic, it's the commitment. Do you stick with it for 60 to 90 days? Do you track your progress? And are you actually progressing in it? Or are you skipping and hopping from tactic to tactic because none of them have immediate results? Get a program, stick with the program, change it if it doesn't work after 90 days. That was my plan. I hear you've had some exciting happenings since we last chatted. So I wanted to hear kind of what's going down for me too.
After a conversation, one of the key items that I kind of clawed into was sending someone younger out to go out and try to see if they can't get this location. And my daughter is visiting me from college for the month. And so she's got a lot of time in her hands. And I was like, hey, Maya, do you want to earn some extra money? And so I am paying her per machine that she placed. And so we put together a strategy and then she went out.
That's amazing. So you're making your daughter do all the hard work? So that's what's happening here?
Yeah. She's more successful at it than I am. So
So what happened? You went out, Maya, and you closed some vending machines?
Yeah, I did. First day, actually, we closed the first one. So it worked out really well. Got a couple leads at some other places that we're waiting to hear back on. But yeah, so we got one for sure, first day.
Oh, that's huge. Wait, so tell me what that was like. Have you ever done anything like that before?
No, I haven't really. So I was honestly really nervous. I didn't really know what to expect, especially because I don't know as much as my dad does about the whole vending machine business. So it was definitely a learning curve, but he gave me a list of potential places to visit, and then I just drove around and kind of gave a little pitch. And
that's amazing. What did they tell you? Were they like, yes, we're in? Or did they say we want more information? How did that go down?
Yeah, so I got a lot of no's at first, and then actually the one we got a solid yes on was the last one that I was gonna go stop at. And so I went in, there was a nice person up at the front desk, and she was like, here, let me get someone to talk to you. And he came out, asked for some more information, gave him as much as I knew. And yeah, so he seemed interested. And then I gave him our contact information. And then, yeah, my dad reached out to him the next day and gave him all the extra information I didn't know. So
did you guys do a dance when you got done at the end?
I was pretty excited.
Yeah.
And then the most important question, I think now, Maya, is, are you now the richest of all of your friends?
I'm definitely not the richest, but I'm one step closer after getting that one vending machine place. So
I love it. Well, that's really cool. I think it's awesome, Ross, what you're doing with your daughter, teaching her the ropes real time while you're in it. It's really cool. Thanks for sharing your story with us. We have a belief that you can't be what you can't see. And I had no idea you could do stuff like this when you were young, and that I could have done it when I was in college. So I think it's cool that you guys share your story so that the next gen gets to see it.